Greetings, folks, and welcome to another edition of Getting Around with the Professor, where we talk about upcoming events. On a personal note, I really haven't been getting around quite as much lately because I'm badly in need of a hip replacement, which is finally being scheduled for a couple of weeks from now. But as a result of that, I haven't been going to quite as many practices or things out of town. However, once I get that taken care of, if it goes as well as the two new knees that I got a couple of years ago, hey, there probably won't be a practice in the mid-Atlantic or Northeast that's safe for me showing up. So in the interim, let's take a look at what is going on and what's coming up in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and a couple items beyond there as well. This coming weekend, I will be at a tournament being run by our 98 franchise folks in Hagerstown, Maryland, called the Cuban Muscle Crisis. That'll be the place in Hagerstown called Havana, which, hey, if you still go to a school where they still teach American history, you'll know that, of course, Cuban Muscle Crisis is a play on Cuban Missile Crisis, which ties in with Havana theme. And you might even recognize the two guys they're gripped up in the poster for the tournament, who are President Kennedy and Fidel Castro. But not that that has anything to do with anything, but just a little history note from a former history professor. So at that tournament, they will be having the usual weight classes for amateur and pro. Also, they're going to do first timers again, which we found very successful at some other 98 events. Masters in this case being 40 and up. And as I say, that will take place this coming weekend, the 25th of October. There's also going to be a Halloween-themed event going on in New Hampshire, although, in all candor, I really don't know all that much about it. But once again, even the places I'm not going to really talk about at length are on the list, and you can look them up yourself. So the 25th. By the time that rolls around, actually, some folks are already going to be in the air flying to the IFA Worlds, which are taking place starting the 27th. Running from the 27th October to the 1st November in Baku, Azerbaijan. So we certainly wish our friends that are going over to Azerbaijan the best of luck with that upcoming event. Also, the week after the tournament, on Thursday night, I may try to get myself over to a Halloween-themed Supermatch and practice event at a gym this is not at the gym. This is at a bar still in Fairfield, New Jersey, which is the same town where Beast Mode gets together for their Thursday practices. Although this will be at at a bar instead called, what is it called? Sidelines Bar and Grill. They're going to have some super matches there and a lengthy practice. So I'm going to certainly attempt to get over to that as well. Other than that, don't know anything, going on locally this weekend. However, what I should also mention is that weekend of the Friday the 31st and Saturday the 1st November will be the 98's Arm Wrestling Southwest Championship, which will be taking place in Arizona, specifically in the town of, Golden Valley, Arizona, which is about an hour or so southeast of Las Vegas. I mention that because once again, this is a 98 franchise event. Also, our glorious founder, Ryan Grondin, will be going out to that. So you folks in Arizona don't get to see him all that often. In fact, last time you saw him in Arizona was when he had that glorious super match with the great puller Paul Italia a couple of years ago. Also in Arizona, although a little bit farther south in Arizona than this one. But that's at the Castle Rock Ranch, as I say, and a good number of very nice super matches. One I would like to mention specifically is I'm going to be paying attention to is James Wall is coming over from the UK with the Armed Gods folks, and will be pulling Julian Smith, who was on my home team, Team Predator, in Eastern Pennsylvania before he and his wife, Jesse Ondrovic, moved from Pennsylvania to Utah. So that will be an interesting one, as I say, in Arizona the first weekend in first weekend in November. Second weekend in November, there's three items taking place that I know of, two in Ohio, one in New Hampshire. The one of them in Ohio that ordinarily I would probably go to is Kiwanis Fundraiser in Calcutta, Ohio, Eastern Ohio. I don't know that I'll get to that this year because, quite frankly, the surgery, which I previously mentioned, is taking place on the 5th of November, 3 days earlier, and I'm not sure I'm going to quite up to, driving to Ohio 3 days later. But as I say, there are two tournaments in Ohio, one also in Concord, New Hampshire, which is the New England Armwrestling League's grand finale that as a result of the folks winning the various other tournaments that they've been holding throughout the year. So that, as I say, will be the weekend of the 8th of November. The 15th of November, I do hope, since it'll be 10 days after the operation, to be heading out to that same general corner of the world. Specifically, there is a Toys for Tots tournament going on in Townville, where I have a super match. There's a good number of super matches there. I have one against JD Fox. So that will be taking place, as I say, out in Townville for the benefit of the Toys for Tots folks on the 15th of November. Also on the 15th of November, the Virginia Arm Wrestling League is having another one of their regular tournaments at their traditional spot in Mechanicsville, Virginia, also on the 15th. 22nd November, interesting item which I want to talk about a little bit here. Something called called Fistful of Dollars. That's taking place in Connecticut. And it's kind of an interesting sort of situation in that is a tournament that is taking place with fairly decent cash payouts. The cash payouts are going to be based on what they get as far as people registering. That'll be for the pro. The pro entry fee is $100. And what they have announced they're going to do there is of the whatever they get in entry fees, 20% of it will be taken for the various expenses for the tournament. The remaining 80% will be divided up 80-20 between the first and second place winners. And so, for example, if you have 10 entries, $1,000, 200 of that would go to the expenses of the event, and the other 800 would be divided up 80-20, or in other words, first place person would get 640 by my math, and second place person get the other 160 by my math. Of course, that's once again, it's if you have 10 people. If you have fewer, then you'll have a smaller amount, of course, of the payout. The one thing that I did find kind of interesting that I'm going to mention here is they also will have an amateur tournament, which is $50 an entry fee. And they have this rather strongly worded item saying that if you are a pro and they catch you pulling in amateur, essentially you will be A, booted out of the tournament, B, your entry fee will not be refunded, and C, you will be banned for life. On the other hand, they don't exactly say what the difference is between a pro and an amateur. So, how do they decide what a pro is, what an amateur is? Not quite clear there, but just thought I'd mention that because you don't often see something quite like that in an announcement for a tournament. So that, let's say that's the 22nd. What I'll probably do is have another one of these events before talking about the December events. The only thing I might mention, just because it's a little bit, once again, sort of a change, of the several events that are taking place on the 6th December, there is the Armageddon tournament in Morgantown. This is being run by Eli Kerr, as he did before. And this year will be part of a sports festival, which have other things as well, besides arm wrestling. But the point I want to make is that in the previous years, this tournament was basically open only. Well, they also had first timers, but they did not have a specific amateur class. They had first timers, which actually they define not quite as first, but as if you haven't been in more than 3 tournaments. But then everything else was open. This time, everything else will be amateur. They will not have an open tournament, although they will have some open or pro super matches. So I just thought I'd mention that because if you don't read the fine print and take a look at what exact classes are in the event page, you might show up thinking they're going to have open, and apparently they will not. So anyway, I'll talk more about that and some other stuff going on in December at our next event. So hope to see you at one of these, and hope you have a good month.